Welcome, Minister, and congratulations. I welcome the amendments proposed in this bill and wholeheartedly support them. I particularly welcome the provisions that allow for meetings to be held virtually, and this will bring particular relief to companies anxious to fulfil their corporate obligations, but constrained by their own constitutions and company law heretofore, barring the validity of virtually held meetings. When we say the word company, an image springs to mind of large multinationals or well-known indigenous companies, and that's a natural assumption. However, we talk about SMEs and have done so a lot in this House in the last number of weeks, and the local enterprise offices have provided them with a wealth of support, and the programme for government assures their heightened stature. However, there are a group of companies and directors that can get overlooked, and it's on their behalf that I would like to address my remarks. Many community organisations and entities within our communities are charities and volunteer groups, and it is for the procurement of funding purposes that they're obligated to establish companies, and they are run by volunteers who are nonetheless directors for the purposes of company law. A large number of exceptional outreaches to the community within my own constituency of Dublin South Central are powered by volunteers who are passionate about their community, and of necessity their roles have obliged them to become company directors. I believe the obligations of company directorship, particularly at present, can be onerous, and we need to give due consideration to their worries and concerns. My own experience of serving on volunteer boards is that volunteers are conscientious workers who want the best for their organisations and their employees, and I'm mindful at present of the number of volunteer directors who are obligated to make very serious decisions, existential decisions on the viability of their organisations, and perhaps in some instances these are organisations that they have founded and nurtured and loved over many years, and they're wrestling with the obligations and the concerns for their employees and dealing with issues like redundancy and that, and I'm actively supporting a number of organisations within my own constituency in that regard. In that, I'd like to welcome the work of the Wheel, who have been instrumental in providing training and networking opportunities, particularly for these two groups and these types of companies that are essentially, that's what they are in law. And I also acknowledge that these have been widely funded and supported and partnered by government. I think that the excellent changes that are encompassed in this bill, and indeed entirely in the legal law, in the company law obligations entered into by directors, they need to be supported by an information campaign specifically targeting these type of volunteer directors, and that they need a means of informing them on their obligations, alleviating their concerns and their conscientious worries, and giving them support in a very simple, non-legalese language. I believe that ongoing, were we to enter into a campaign of information, that we will be in fact affording that information and support to volunteer directors, and thereby opening up the opportunity for more to become involved and to volunteer as directors on boards that would be otherwise off-put, and we open the opportunity then for a more diverse representation on boards. We live in a world where the law and the obligations are fast moving. Privacy law, for instance, wearing my own hat, brings in obligations in respect of personal data, and well-meaning people involved in volunteer capacities, including directors, can inadvertently breach privacy law, deeming a sharing or a disclosure to be of personal data to be harmless in the context of the objectives of their business or of their organisation. But the provisions within this bill providing virtual meetings also have attendant clauses and criteria that obligate the standard of security and privacy in the electronic communications, that in the absence of a large IT budget or maybe the necessary internal expertise, we need to be putting in information supports. We need to be providing to say, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for an ISO standard, you're looking for X, Y and Z, that we put those in place. Therefore, I'd ask you to consider an information campaign specifically for this cohort of directors, but you have my fulsome support for the bill, and thank you very much, Minister.